So I know that every single video that I have been doing has been all about migrating to Canada, immigrating to Canada. But then I know that some of you, regardless of the fact that you are not able to migrate at the moment, or you do not have the facilities or capability to relocate at the moment, you still want to come to Canada to see what it is like, what everyone has been saying, what is so special about coming to Canada, and things like that. And that's why in today's video, I would be talking about everything visiting Canada and how to apply to come to Canada to visit. Hi guys, it's a brand new day. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. You know how it is. It's your girl Suleeha here, and I'm here with a brand new video. If you don't know me, I'm a Nigerian YouTuber residing in Ontario, Canada, and my content spins from lifestyle, daily vlogs, and of course, the most important one, which everyone likes to hear about, is immigration to Canada. I talk about anything immigration, doing it yourself to Canada. If my content is your type of content, please don't forget to watch my other videos. Don't forget to subscribe and then stick around to join the growing family. Thank you. I'm going to be making videos as it relates to visiting Canada. I'm going to be talking you through the documents that is expected of you. And the good news is that I'm going to be making this video as a series. I'm also going to be talking about how to write an invitation letter for Canada visit visa, and I would also be talking about common reasons for Canadian visit visa refusal. I'm also going to be talking about just the other important things as it relates to Canada. So if this content is your type of content, please don't go anywhere. So in today's video, I am going to be giving a general overview of how to apply for a visit visa. I'm not going in depth as to anything. I am not picking out anything and talking about it extensively. I'm just going to be talking about what is required of you when you want to apply for a visitor's visa to come to Canada, either as a tourist or as a business, or whether you want to come to Canada to visit your family. So the first thing I'm going to be talking about, who can apply for a Canadian visitor's visa. Yes, we all know that all categories of persons from anywhere in the world can apply for a Canadian visit visa, except you are exempted for some particular reasons known to the Canadian government. But for you to be eligible to apply for a visitor's visa, the Canadian expect you to put some things in place, and I'm going to be listing out those things. The first thing is that you must have a passport. You must have a valid passport. So you cannot just use an identity document to come to Canada. The only people that I know that they can do that is probably those people that are chance to, or possibly, they have a reason to come to Canada. Canadian government expect you to have is a good health. Canadian government do not want you to come to Canada and to be a burden, or to come to Canada or something happens to you. That's why some people, despite the fact that they are coming to Canada on a visitor's visa, they buy an insurance because they don't know what can happen while they are on a visit. But technically, the government expects you to be in good physical state. The thing is that the Canadian government expects you not to have a criminal record or an immigration related conviction. Basically, you must not have been banned it doesn't mean that if you are banned in some other country, but don't forget that these countries share information. So while you are filling your information, there's always that aspect that's asking you that, have you been sent out of a country? Have you been deported? Have you been, those are the questions they ask you. So don't forget, like I said, these countries share information with other countries like US or Canada. So do well to make sure to state that if that has happened before. And it also says that for you to be eligible, you must be able to prove to the Canadian immigration officers that you have ties back to your home country. Basically, you must either have a job, or you're studying, you have assets, or you have dependents that you need to go back to. You must must be able to convince a Canadian immigration officer that you have those ties back in your home country. And like I said, because this video is going to be in series, I'm also going to be elucidating further on what ties to home countries can be. Like, what are the things that you can use as ties to your home country? You must be able to convince the immigration officer that you will return back to your home country. It's just the same thing that I just stated. They want you to have some form of ties back to your home country, whether it's a child, whether it's your parent, whether it's your wife, or whether it's your job. You must be able to prove that you're going to be going back to those people. The one that they do not joke about, you must have enough money for your stay in Canada. Canada, like I said, would not want you to come to their country and come and be a burden. If you're saying you want to come on a visit, you must be capable, you must be able to afford the visit. When it comes to proving of money or proving of funds, it all really just depends on how much you would be spending on the journey. If you are coming on a tourist visa, you're obviously going to be spending more than somebody that is coming on a family visit with a full sponsor and with accommodation and transportation covered. So all of those things would also determine if you're coming on a business or on a conference and they are taking care of your accommodation, you have an host that is getting all of that sorted, then you know that the money will not be as much as you that you are coming on this trip solely because you want to come to CN Tower, or you want to come to Niagara Falls, or you just want to come to Canada Wonderland. Is absolutely different. And we move on to the next thing, which is documents required for you, documents that you need to submit when you are submitting your visitor's visa. I would be listing the document and I will be putting it in sections, because coming to Canada and submitting your document, you're coming to Canada for different reasons. You're either coming to Canada for a family visit, you're coming to Canada as a business business owner coming for an event, or you're coming to Canada because there's a conference happening in your field. Or you're just coming to Canada because you want to come to Canada, you have the money, you are a tourist wanting to explore. So all of that would influence the type of document that you would be submitting for your Canadian visit visa. And the first thing and the most important thing is that you must submit the data page of your passport. So when you apply, when you fill all the forms, when you do all of that, it automatically populates the amount of documents that you will be submitting, the type of document that you will be submitting based off of the informations that you filled earlier. So all of these documents are the ones that you'll be submitting in their various placeholders, and the ones that do not have a placeholder, you merge them together and you compress and submit as a single document. So the first thing that I mentioned is your data page of your passport. One thing that I would be mentioning is the fact that if you're coming for a family visit, you need an invitation letter from the family or friend that is inviting you to come to Canada to visit Canada. And IRCC has a specific way that the letter should be written, information that shouldn't be lost in the letter, the things that should include the letter, information that they need to see in the letter should be included in the invitation letter. If you're coming as a business owner, coming for an event, or if you're coming for a conference, they need to be able to give you an invitation letter inviting you to come for the conference in Canada, or they need to give you a business invite to be able to come to Canada for the business event. It's not just for you to say that I'm going to apply for this visa because I'm going for an event or I'm going for a conference. You need to submit letters and information as it relates to the event that you're coming to do in Canada. And like I said, I would be making an extensive video for you guys because I like you guys a lot. I will be making an extensive video for you guys talking about what is inclusive in a letter, an invitation letter, and what you must note when your host or your family is inviting you to come to Canada. The next document that you're expected to submit is your travel history document. If you're a traveler that has traveled half of the world, you need to submit your visa entry stamps or visa entry in and out stamps, exit and entry stamps for the past 10 years. You need to submit that while you are submitting your document. And the thing about this is that it helps you prove that you have a travel history, you've been able to travel the world, and you've gone back to your home country after traveling. So you are asked to submit all your visas and your on your passport, as long as it is 10 years before the date you're applying for your visa. You submit that. You also include your entry stamps and exit stamps, and then you just put that information. And it is not just to Canada. If you've been to Dubai, if you've been to America, if you've been to the UK, you just need to add the exit and the entry stamps of those countries and the visas of those countries. It's nothing. It's just to buffer your application and help you plead your case. Now, see me, I go everywhere and I'm back to my own country. I just want to come and see your country and see what's so special in it. So it's good for your application. The third thing that I will be talking about is your itinerary. So if you're coming for a family visit and your host is providing you accommodation and all of that, please do make sure that all of that is stated in the invitation letter. So that covers for you in your itinerary. As well, if you're writing your letter of purpose or your purpose of the visit, you can also include that your itinerary includes that you would be staying at your host's house for accommodation. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are staying in an hotel or something. Or there are some situations that some hosts do not want you to stay in their apartment and they get you sorted with an Airbnb or an hotel or anything like that. In that case, you can also get the information of the Airbnb or of the hotel and add it to your visa application document. That way you are sorted as it relates to itinerary. And then you can also disclose that your host will be taking care of your transport and every other thing as it relates to feeding and any other ancillary things that you feel like would help your document. But if you're coming as a tourist, your case is different. Your case is different in the sense that you have to plead your case. You have to talk about how much you'll be spending per night in an hotel. You have to have already reached out at least to say that this is the hotel that I've made inquiry. This is the amount I would be sleeping in this hotel for a night. And if I'm spending a week, this is the amount times the number of days that I would be sleeping in the hotel. So all of those things has to be itemized and listed so that it is clear that you know what you're doing. If you're also talking of transport, you can also just put like a minimum amount of number for your transport around Canada, because transport is not cheap. As long as you're not, if you decide to say that you want to also rent a car per day, you can just sum it up to say that I'm going to be spending $150 on car rent for a day. Just itemize that times the amount of numbers that you will be staying in Canada. Those are what would influence your itinerary. And if you're coming on a business visa and then you know that your host, the people that are organizing the event, have sorted accommodation, just do well to state that as well so that it is clear about where you'll be sleeping when you come to Canada. Fourth thing I'm going to be talking about is your proof of funds. So with proof of funds, it is very, very important that you make sure that your proof of funds is watertight, because it is part of the reasons that a lot of people get refused for their Canadian visit visa. So for proof of funds, I'm going to be separating it into two things. I'm going to be separating it and putting it into liquid cash and also financial assets. So if you are the type of person that your host is possibly sponsoring you to come to Canada, say for example you want to sponsor your mom to come to Canada, you can do that absolutely fine, and the person doesn't have to have a dime on the application form. For example, when I applied for my mom, we fully sponsored her to come to Canada, and when filling the application form, it was on zero. It doesn't still change the fact that she submitted a bank statement to show that she is also capable of handling this trip, but her children decided to sponsor her, which is absolutely fine. So if you have a sponsor here in Canada that is willing to take up all the cost of the trip, it is absolutely fine. The person just needs to add more document, which I would be getting to soon. But for you as a person that is not being sponsored, you need to have your financial proof. The first is your bank statement, at least 6 months bank statement showing that you are capable, your closing balance is being shown, your financial institution, that's your bank, is being shown, the amount, the closing balance is being shown in your bank statement. You could also get a bank reference letter if you choose to. It's not compulsory. You could also get a bank reference letter to show that you are not in debt to any bank. So 6 months of bank statement, that is very, very wise. And it is just to show that you're capable, you have the money, and you want to come to Canada to enjoy yourself. And please note, Canada really, really frowns at lump sum. If you're going to be putting lump sum in your account for a trip, you need to show where exactly that lump sum came from. If you've been saving up from cooperative to come to Canada, you have to show proof that you've been saving up from the beginning of the year till when the money was ripe for you to collect, getting letters from your cooperative and things like that to show that you've managed to save the money for this particular trip to come to Canada before you go back to work. I like to tell people that if you are the type of person that you have financial assets that are not physical cash, you have landed properties, you have investment, talking about shares, you have good policies, bonds, you are collecting rent. Pretty much, if you have any other investment or any other stream of income, do well to state that, because that way you are further proving that you can fully sponsor yourself on this journey, or your proof of fund is not even a matter of you don't have enough financial money to support yourself on the trip. And all of this is just in a bid of proving yourself that you're not a liability to the Canadian government. You just want to come to the country and enjoy yourself. And I talked about the fact that if your host is the one sponsoring you, the fifth document now would be the document the host that is fully sponsoring you would be submitting. The first document, which is going to be their own bank statement to show that they are capable of sponsoring you to come to Canada. They also need to show proof of employment, that they are in gainful employment and that they can take care of you regardless of the fact that you're coming to Canada. They are okay, they have the apartment, they have the accommodation. They are just trying to submit every document that would help their case as a full host. They are also going to be submitting their Canadian status document. If the person is a Canadian citizen, their passport suffices, and if the person is a Canadian permanent resident, their permanent residence card suffices. All of those things are the things that your host, who is fully sponsoring you, need to submit. And of course, any other document that they feel that would help their case: pictures, proof of relationship. And I'm going to talk about proof of relationship. Proof of relationship is not really important. It's not part of the document, but I like to tell people that it helps your case. If you have a proof of relationship, birth certificate, pictures, anything to show that you have some form of connection and it's not just a lie, or you're just, using this person to apply for a visit in Canada. Show proof, show previous pictures, show things that would say that they can see that you have a relation with the person that you're coming to meet in Canada. Then for further proof to show that you have great home ties, like I talked about the fact that the Canadian immigration officer wants to see your tie back home, and your tie could include your children. You can submit your birth certificate. You can also submit pictures with them. You can submit your wedding certificate to show that you have a wife back home. You can submit your employment document, contract document, your pay stubs, pay slips. You can submit all of that to show that you have a full job that you need to get back to once your holiday is over, and you just need to take time off. If you are a student, you submit all your school record, all your school documents, and you also could even submit your school holiday calendar so that they know that this is when you're off in school and you just want to go on holiday and come back to school to visit your family. You're also working, it will be nice for you to get like a leave of absence from your employer, your HR. Let them get you a document. And if you are a business owner that you run your business on your own, make sure to submit all your certificate of incorporation, all your documents, everything that has to do with your company. Do well to submit that when you're submitting your application. It is just all in a bid to watertight your application, to make sure that you are not shabby. Less is more, but then make sure that you submit the right document. Also using a representative, an agent, or you're using somebody from your family, because you that you're applying for the visa, you are not literate enough to apply for the visa. You need to submit a representative form. So you submit a representative form, which I think the form is IMM 6574, if I'm not wrong. I'll check the name and put it on the screen. That form is the form that you would fill. I will show like a little bit of what the form looks like now. This is just to show that you're not doing it yourself. Someone is helping you do this, and then you're giving the person a permission to do this on your behalf. And then my two favorite documents that I like to add anytime I'm applying for a visitor's visa. The first one is your purpose of visit or your letter of introduction. In this letter, explain fully why you are coming to Canada. Use that letter to explain, to speak your mind to the immigration officer. Let them know, give them reason to want to grant you a visa. Don't just submit document and think that that's it. Convince them. So let your cover letter, meaning your purpose of visit letter or your letter of introduction, let it do the speaking for you when you are not there. And the 10th one, which is the other one that I talked about, my other favorite one, is a letter of explanation, explaining every single document that you've submitted. I like to tidy up things. I like to put things in order. I list out every document. Dear immigration officer, this is the document that I'm submitting in respect of my visit visa application. 1, my data page. 2, my dates. 3, my date. And you make a list of all the documents you've submitted, and you put that in the additional information together with the other excess document that you're submitting. That way your application is watertight. It is clear, it is visible. Even when the visa officer is lost, he would use that as a thing to draw him back to be able to check and grant you your visa. And for the application fee, for your visit visa, the application fee is 185 Canadian dollars. The 85 Canadian dollars is for your biometrics, because after you've submitted your document, you get a letter to say that you can proceed to do your biometrics, and you're free to do your biometrics anywhere in the world. Even if you applied from Nigeria, and shortly after you applied, you got a letter for your biometrics and you are in the UK, you can do your biometrics in the UK. You can do your biometrics anywhere. The only downside is that when you want to submit your passport, you still have to pay for transmission fee. But for children, I think for children under 7 years of age, their application fee is 100 Canadian dollars. They don't need to do biometrics because they are not fit. But then when you do that, they will tell you the people that will do biometrics and the people that will not do biometrics if you're applying as a family. Then to the one everyone likes to hear, please, if I apply for my visa today, when is it going to come out? See, don't let me lie to you. Don't let anyone bobo you. Nobody can give you visit visa in a week. Everything is up to the visa officer. So processing time varies from countries to countries. I'm going to show you what the processing time is for Nigeria and what the processing time is for UK. Yeah. So guys, you can see that you go online to check for processing time. You select where you're applying from and the country. You can see that this is Nigeria. I clicked on Nigeria to get the processing time. You can see Nigeria is 471 days. It's crazy. And look at UK. UK is 250 days. So you see that it's not a one-size-fits-all. It varies from countries to countries, even if you apply from inside Canada. Then just to say that as it relates to processing time, I just feel like the Canadian government don't like stress. Don't stress me. Submit your application and forget it, because while we're talking of processing time, I have seen 14 days, I have seen 2 weeks, I have seen 2 months and I've seen a year. So what I would just say, I recently applied for my mom and a visa came out in 2 months, and this is because I don't know why, though I followed up with some emails and a couple of emails, and then I got a response that is still processing. Surprisingly, I got a response. So but what I just want to say is that no two applications are the same. Don't compare your application to another person's application. Yours might come out earlier while your friends might come out like later. So don't use one person's application to judge yours. I know that student visa takes about 6 to 7 weeks. It's not like visitor's visa, and my advice is just apply and forget it. If you just want to apply. Canada is not going to hold your passport. It is when they grant you your visa that they tell you to submit your passport. Usually before, when it was a paper application, we used to submit everything together with the passport, but now everything is being done online, and when you are being granted your visa, you are being asked to submit your passport. So that brings me to the end of today's video, and like I said, it's a series. I will see you guys back in my next video talking about the next point of thing as it relates to your visit visa. Thank you so much for watching all through to the end. If you have any question, don't forget to hit me up in the comment section, and please don't send me random DMs talking about this or that. Please, when you want to come into my DM, please be very specific, and let's just see what or how things go from there on. And like I said, I do not give visa. I don't know how to give visa. I'm not a Canadian immigration officer, nor am I a Canadian licensed immigration officer, soon to be, but I am not yet. At least we go with the flow. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys back in my next video. Bye.